Am I okay? Thank you all for being here. You're actually sort of amazing. We, as Mike said, this was going to be, or Joan, I guess, going to be just a few folks in their home chit-chatting kind of around the fire about what maybe God was in the process of doing. And so we just mailed out a few little postcards to people, and you're here. And we're glad you are, because we really believe that the genius of Freedom Congress is that it's just a stimulant to encourage the people, we the people of the United States of America, to coalesce around some things that matter, to coalesce around our roots, to coalesce around the things that made us the nation we are, and to give ourselves away to those things instead of the silly little things like economic advancement and all of that stuff that eats away and erodes foundational values. So that's what Freedom Congress is. And as Mike just alluded, the real machine, the real impetus of the thing is the website, which promotes a very interactive coming together of the people in a communicative way that they didn't have in the founding of our nation, but we enjoy today. And Gunnar will share a little bit more with you about that a little bit later. But my task is to try to help us see from 30,000 feet why we're motivated to be involved in this kind of thing, and why it's a no-brainer for a Gary and a Jim DeMint and a Jerry Boykin and an Oliver North and all of these folks. Why do we feel like we're kind of made for this? There is a spirit of concern abroad in our country, isn't there? I mean, you can feel it at multiple levels. Unfortunately, some of those levels are probably not people of propriety. But the fact is, that's always the case. It was that way in the founding of the nation. It's that way now. For our part, we intend to be absolutely law-abiding, thoughtful, sensitive, God-obeying citizens of the Republic of the United States of America. We are going to foment no revolutions, no disorder, no civil disobedience, or any of those kinds. But what we do want to foment is a love for who we are as a nation. And we don't know who we are as a nation this day, and that's the root of our problem. Let me just share with you, I have asked myself many times, why am I inclined to be patriotic? What is it about me? Is it just my childhood? Well, it was a large part of it. As most of you know, I've told you I grew up in this little tiny coal mining town in central Washington where families were families, and dads were dads, and moms were moms, and we had dinner together in the evening, and the things that we learned in the schoolhouse were the same things we were taught in our homes, and it all seemed right and good. And when we would walk down 3rd Street, we would see names on the mailboxes, and when we'd get to the end of 3rd Street, there was that big World War II memorial, and the same names on the memorial were the names on the mailboxes, and there were this coalescing melting pot of names. Strange names, as I've told you before, names like Golubic and Klobuchar and Osmanovich and Katalinich and Prokopovich and Pistoresi and Pizzolatto and Spansky. There were people who spoke all kinds of different languages, whose families emigrated to this country, where they decided that they would learn English, and they became a single people to the place where they actually were willing to die for one another. So on that little memorial at the end of 3rd Street where we lived were the names on those mailboxes. 2 of the names on that mailbox were the Prokopovich brothers. Mom and Pop only had 2 boys, and they both died in World War II. So that I could walk down 3rd Street with my dad or my mom or anybody I wanted to, anytime I wanted to, so I could worship at the Little Nazarene Church on Sunday morning the way we chose to worship. We were a free people. And I actually believed that as a kid, if you can imagine. I really did believe that. And then television came. We got that old 1953 Satchel Carlson TV with the big square box and the little round circle, and on that TV there came men like Daniel Boone, then Davy Crockett. I got the biggest kick the other night, maybe it was last night. Time's moving really fast, it might have been the night before, but I was sitting on the couch with my grandsons, and we were watching some old episodes that are available on CD of Daniel Boone. Daniel Boone was a big man, remember that song? Yeah, and the little boys were just glued to that like I was. Maybe it was my childhood. Maybe it was the fact that Davy Crockett went a long ways away from his house to die for other people's freedom. Maybe it was that Doug Monroe, who was my dad's high school buddy, had received the Medal of Honor for what he did for my freedom in 1942 at a place called Guadalcanal. Maybe it was my childhood that made me inclined to be a patriot. But whatever it was, I do know now, as a matter of fact, that the freedom that I have enjoyed all of my life, increasingly eroding today, is the result of standing on the shoulders of generations of people before us who knew who they were and what they were doing and why. That's where we need to go.